I'm aware that many of you have expressed a desire for online counseling, and to that effect, we have a sponsor who will help you and assist you in that respect. So if you will, go beneath the video, you'll find a link to our online counseling sponsor. They have a whole team of counselors that can help you. Practice self-care, get the help that you need. I want to dive into a topic that many people can be uncomfortable with, but I think it's one that deserves some pondering if we're going to have a well-rounded sense of life, and that is, what does it mean to be spiritual? Now, one of the reasons that people can be uncomfortable with that topic is we often associate spirituality with characteristics like being judgmental or rejecting. If you don't believe the same way as I do or act in the fashion that I think you should, then you're not in my club. We often think of spiritual people as having a need to make other people believe correctly, which means the way I believe. And it doesn't matter which religion we're talking about, whether it's Christianity or Judaism or Islam or paganism or atheism, which is its own backwards form of religion, or many of the other world religions out there. We can feel uncomfortable with that because we have this element that says once you declare yourself, that means you're now in an exclusive club. Now, as a matter of self-disclosure, I refer to myself as being Christian. Now, I want you to notice the little distinction that I just made. I didn't say I'm a Christian because that does have the implication that I answered all the questions to the quiz correctly and I did all the proper things to get inside the church. And so now I'm a member of the club. To me, being spiritual doesn't have anything to do with what club you're in or what belief you line up with. Frankly, just inside of one religion like Christianity, there are literally thousands of denominations and subcategories where people just can't agree on what it means to have that one religious orientation. And like I say, it can be that way in many others. Instead, I prefer to say I'm Christian in the sense that it's an adjective. It describes my character. It describes my manner of thinking and being. And frankly, if you come along and you have a very different style of thinking and being, then my natural inclination is not to say, well, I need to get you over here to my club, because that's not how I think. Now, someone once asked Jesus, what's the greatest commandment that was ever given? And his answer was not complicated. He said, love God, love others as you love yourself. All right there. Or elsewhere in the Christian scriptures, there's a description of what it means to be in the Spirit. And there are 9 characteristics: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. All of those are character issues. And notice that whether it was Jesus or whether it's the other scriptures talking about what it means to have a spiritual element, they don't say anything about doctrinal correctness. And I'm not saying that beliefs and doctrines are completely irrelevant, because we want to have a certain set of principles and tenets that we align with. But ultimately, it's about who you are in your character. Now, a very strong influence in my way of thinking in psychology was the Jewish psychologist Erich Fromm. And in his tradition, he goes back to the story of the Garden of Eden, and he focuses on 2 things that happened there in the garden. And this resonates so strongly. When Adam and Eve ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, what they did is they decided, I want to be God. I want to be in control, and it's all about me. And in his mind, that's the beginning point for narcissism. And then the second thing that Adam and Eve did is they're hiding in the bushes, and they start doing all this blame shifting and cover up. Well, Erich Fromm describes that's the beginning of the construction of the false self. And in his mind, and I so go along with that, many individuals want to have this knowledge of God. They want to be in control, but in doing so, they wind up being phonies about it. And that's a problem that many people inside of religions struggle with. They don't know how to be real and authentic. And as a result, the deeper you go into your religiosity, it can actually take you towards narcissism, because ultimately with many religious folks, God is the ultimate authority figure. And so they'll say something like, well, it's not me that's telling you what to do. It's God. I'm just telling you what God said. When in fact, most of the time it really is you. But many people look at religion in an authoritarian kind of way. But I go back to the notion that says, well, it starts with love. Actually, it was Francis of Assisi who said, preach the gospel at all times, and if necessary, use words. And he was, of course, people that are in the Franciscan entity, they say, let's make a lot of room for mystery. There are just simply many things that we don't know. And it's okay to say, I don't know, or I'm not quite sure. And if someone comes along and says, well, I have an entirely different belief system than you, then I think it's okay to say, well, let's sit down and talk, and let's love each other, and perhaps we can learn from one another. So that's kind of where I'm coming from when I talk about being spiritual. And I want to zero in on what I consider to be 8 primary ingredients that are a part of being spiritual. Now, the first I've already alluded to. Number 1, spiritual individuals will let go of the need to be in control. I have no need to control another human being. In fact, I find that the 2 words, I know, can be very dangerous, because then it means that I've got a club here that I can beat you over the head with. Instead, spiritual individuals operate with the understanding that each person is free to be who they are, and then as I engage with other individuals, will use self-restraint. So that's my first tenet. Second, when we talk about what it means to be spiritual, I'm going to go with the notion that says no mask. That's the creation of the false self, as Erich Fromm described. I don't want to live with pretense. As far as common sense allows, I want there to be a sense of openness and honesty. I want honesty to be central to who I am. I want there to be a self-awareness, and as common sense allows, then I'm willing to have self-disclosure. If you know me, I want you to know me as fully as possible, based on the level of relationship that we're able to have. A third ingredient that's part of spirituality is living with wisdom. Now, notice that that's different than living with knowledge, and when we talk about living with wisdom, it supersedes correctness. But holding convictions and having knowledge and beliefs, that can be good. But simultaneously, I want to have a sense of discernment that says, but I also want to know how my beliefs and how my mannerisms impact other individuals. And I just need to make sure that other individuals know that when they're in my presence, there's a sense of connectedness that we can go to. And wisdom says I'm going to use that as opposed to just merely bonking people over the head with authoritarian knowledge. A fourth ingredient that goes into spirituality is humility. The humble individual starts with the notion that says, it's not all about me. I don't have a corner of all knowledge, and I don't want to be in a self-absorbed kind of way. But when you see yourself as a person of humility, you see yourself as one of many in humanity, and your task is not to rise above other individuals, but your task is to be a giver of goodness. Fifth, is as far as my understanding of spirituality, is you're a person of kindness. You know, the Dalai Lama is famous for having said, my religion is kindness. I like that. I like that a lot. Do you see yourself as being somebody that brings goodness and encouragement and friendliness to the equation? Are you a person of joy? Are you the kind of person that says, I'd just like to have lunch with you and just get to know you? And if there's some act of service that I can do, I'm happy to go into that space. A sixth ingredient that's part of your spirituality is steadiness in the midst of conflict. You see, I find that it's really easy for me to be steady and easygoing with you as long as you agree with me. But the mark of a spiritually mature person is shown when we have conflict or differentness, or we just can't seem to come together in the same thoughts. And I can still be steady with you. I have no need to be a one-upmanship kind of a person. And I want to bring a sense of patience and fair-mindedness to any kind of equation that I have. And then in addition, number 7, as far as spirituality is, you're in touch with all sorts of beauty, whether it's art or nature or music, those kinds of things, that you have a oneness with the things that are wonderful and beautiful and stimulating in that regard, and you have a feeling of unity with creation. And then number 8, we're going to say spirituality means, and I'm going back and reiterating the one thing I said earlier, you understand the nature of love. And love is not me insisting that you have to do the right thing according to my definition of what's right. It's so much more than that. When I think about what it means to be loving, it's my way of saying, how can I make you know that I see your worth? I see your dignity. I'm going to treat you with respect. In conflict, if I have to stand up and make confrontations, I'm going to do so, but with a loving aim. And then there's going to be a certain element of tolerance, even when you don't agree with me. That's what it means for me to know the essence of love. So there is that spirituality that we all can seek after. And I'm hoping that what it does is ultimately it takes you to your place of meaning. And I hope that, and you don't have to agree with everything I'm saying here, by the way, but I do hope it stimulates some thought in you so that it can cause you to pause and wonder, well, do people see me as being someone who knows the essence of love, especially people who are not inside my club? Can I just be someone that exudes that goodness and that humility and that self-restraint? I want to be that kind of person. And I hope that videos such as this will give you some good thought or food for thought. If you've not already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. More videos will be coming your way. In addition, if you have a need for counseling, I want to remind you that we have a sponsor that can help you if you have a desire for online counseling. We have a link below our video here that could lead you to that, with all sorts of licensed professional counselors, a whole team of them that can help you. In addition, we have my webinars, my courses and books and all. We have resources below relative to all of that. So avail yourself to that as the need is there. I like being known as a spiritual person in the sense that I want my life to be anchored in meaning and purpose. I like being known even more fully as a person that knows and lives the essence of love. I wish I could say I'm perfect. I'm working on it just as I hope you're working on it. And in doing so, I'm hoping that I can be a person who knows peace and a person who helps establish peace with those that are in my presence. You want to join me in that one?